Okay, good afternoon to you all. Today is module 10 and it's about basic router configuration. Now we have shifted from the switches, we are moving to routers. So today you are going to see basic configuration on routers. It's going to be very interesting. Few of the topics we have is configure initial router settings, configure interfaces, and configure the default gateway. Okay, first we start with the configure initial router settings, right? Okay. Okay, and these are basic router configuration steps. Some of these things we have done them, but we will redo them again. The first one is how to configure the device name of the router. That is using the host name command, how to give the router a host name. This name is meant for identification purpose, huh? So if you are giving a name to a router, it should be a meaningful name, you understand? Let's say, for instance, if it is in the GRTS complex, this router is at the finance department. Probably you just say finance router. But the router cannot be in the finance department and you just call it lion or zebra or donkey. It doesn't make any sense. So if you are giving names to devices, these names have to be meaningful. It's meant for identification purpose. In case, if you are working from the remote end or you telnet into the router, so easily you'll know which router you are in, because if it is a big network, you'll be telnetting from one router to another router. So you need to have a name so that you can identify. The second one is enable secure the privilege execute mode, guys. You know, the first prompt you get in the router is called user mode, okay? So to move from the user mode to a privilege mode, you type enable. Am I right? So that enable mode, you want to secure it. You want to make sure that if anybody is going into higher level, let the person put in a password. That is this command, enable secret password. The next one is how do you secure the console access? Console access is the physical access. That is, you take your cable, console cable, connect it to your router, and then connect it to the computer. That is called console access. That one also, you have to give it a password, so that if somebody walks into your data center, if somebody sneaks and enter your data center, then he won't be able to access the devices, even if he have access to it physically. The other one is called Telnet or SSH access. Telnet and SSH is meant for remote access. So all these passwords that you have created, they will all be stored in the router in plain text. So finally, you have to write this command, service password encryption, at least to encrypt all the passwords from plain text. Another one here is called BANA MOTD. BANA MOTD is meant for legal notification. Most of the time, if you go to places, data centers or highly secure places, you see they will write on a piece of paper and put it on the door to say no unauthorized entry. It's for legal notification. So routers or switches also, you should put banners on them so that if somebody unintentionally log into that machine, he will see that warning, and that's going to be an alert for him, okay? That he is not an authorized personnel to enter here, so he should not log into the router. Is that clear? Or if you need any other explanation on them? Hello? Okay, so these are the full commands, okay? You can see here They've typed host name router 1. So R1 is the name of the router. So you have enabled secret class. So we will do all this in the practicals. Don't worry about that. Initial configuration. So interface configuration, how do you configure the interface of the router? Okay, like I told you in the previous classes, every interface of a router has a level. For you to be able to configure that interface, you should know that level. Okay, that is why the command to configure the interface starts from interface, and then you type the interface level, type and number, whether it is a gigabit internet or is a fast Ethernet port. You can also put a description. That description is meant for documentation to see if anybody logs in there, will know that this link is going to somewhere else. And then the command to give the IP address is IP address. You give the IP address and the subnet mask. The command to give an IP address for IPv6 is IPv6 address and the IP address. And then final command is no shutdown. Okay, so these are examples of how to configure an interface. We will do this. Still on the same thing, configuration of interfaces. You can see interface gigabit 0/0/1. Description is a link to router 2. You give the IP address and type no shutdown. How do you verify an interface? If suppose a problem happens and you want to verify whether the interface is up or down, so you give the command show IP interface brief. The command show IP interface brief will give you all the interfaces on that router and the status of those interfaces. Okay. So these are all the commands for verification, or the show commands. Show IP route, show IPv6 route, show interfaces, show IP interfaces. These are all the commands for interface verification. Still on a continuation. These are also commands. We will do them. So we go to configure the default gateway. Guys, the default gateway, the last time we said, the devices or the computers connected part. The default gateway, guys, the computers in the network should be in the same default gateway as their default gateway IP address, guys. If you look at this computer, if you look at these two computers below here, PC2, PC3 and PC4, their network address is 192.168.11.10. That is the network address. So the default gateway for these two computers will be this interface of the router, gigabit 0/0/1. We are going to configure an IP address on this interface, gigabit 0/0/1. And the IP that we configured here is going to be the default gateway for these two computers. Okay, so this PC1 and PC2 also, they are in it. Hello? Hello?
Yes, hello?
Yeah?
Well, I'm a bit late, but I'm just in now.
Okay, no issues. Let's proceed. So PC1 and PC2 are on a different network, guys. Every interface of a router is a network of its own. So PC1 and PC2 are connected to a network of 192.168.10.0/24. The default gateway for these two computers is going to be on this interface, gigabit 0/0/0. Is that clear, guys? Before we move on. Hello, guys. Okay. So default gateway on a switch. A switch must have a default gateway address configured to remotely manage the switch from another network. Ordinarily, a switch does not need a default gateway, okay? But if you want the switch to be managed from a remote network, you can assign a default gateway to the switch. Is that clear? Ordinarily, the switch does not need a default gateway to function. But if you need to manage this switch remotely from a different network, you should configure a default gateway for the switch. So that is all. It's a very short chapter L. You came late, but basically what we trying to treat here is called basic router configuration. I think we still have time. We can project Packet Tracer and then try to do lab on what we have done, okay? Because we still have some time. It's a very short chapter. It is called basic router configuration. Now I'm going to open my Packet Tracer, but probably I have to go down. My network will go off a little bit and come back. So just be patient. Hello, guys. Hello.
Hi.
Okay, you can get me now. Are you seeing my screen? All right. So it's all about basic router configuration. Okay. So just follow me. Right. Just follow me. Is Setijan in today?
Young Shia is busy today.
He told me he's going to the radio.
Yeah, he's there.
Okay, just pay attention. If you don't understand, please let me know. Because the essence of this class is for you to get the hands-on. So this practicals is very important. I think we are recording it, and you can go over it several times and also use your own Packet Tracer to practice it. Guys, I want to ask one question here. Right. By looking at this diagram, how many networks do we have here?
This is two networks.
We have two.
Yes, that is perfect. We have two networks. Like I told you, every interface of a router is a network. So you can see, guys, pay attention to the interface level. This interface is gigabit 0/0/0. This one is gigabit 0/0/1. So we have two interfaces. We have two networks. Let us give network addresses: 192.168.10.0/24. So another network is here, 192.168.20.0/24. So you see, there are two networks, but today the essence is we want to do basic router configuration. First, let's click the router. Okay, let me increase the font size, please. Okay, so, right, let's open it. Make it a little bit big, but this is not increased. Why? Let me try. Font, I think it's Okay, cool. Okay, so this is about basic router configuration, guys. Type no. So here we have to type enable to move to privilege mode. Okay, and then to go to global configuration mode, we type configure terminal. We are in the global configuration mode, right?
Yeah.
So now the first thing we want to do is we want to give name to the router as a host name. So the command is host name, let's say router 1. So our router name is router 1 now. Okay. So now you can see one thing here. This is a console access. If we exit here, look at this, exit. Oh, guys, sorry about this. You know what this means? I have typed a command that the router doesn't know, and the router is trying to talk to the DNS server to see if the DNS server can translate it. So normally if this happened to you, there's a key combination, sorry, to stop it. I forgot that, but you just have to wait for the router. You can see it's saying translating END, domain server 255.255.255. So the command is not accepted, so it's trying to talk to the DNS server. But there is a command that you can write for you to stop your router from trying to talk to the DNS server. Okay? Is that clear? Are you guys there?
Yes.
Okay, so it's finished. So to avoid this, the command is config terminal. No, sorry. The command is no IP domain hyphen lookup. You understand what happened? Now, if you type this command, no IP domain lookup, the next time if you made the same error, it's not going to talk to the DNS server.
Okay.
All right. So now what I want to show you is exit. You can see there is no password when we move to enable configuration. There is no password. So we want to give a console password. We want to give a console and enable password. The enable password is enable password is Cisco. We have given a password, enable password. So now if you want to move from the user mode to privilege mode, you have to type a password called Cisco. Let's give it a test. So we are in the user mode. When we type enable, it's asking for a password, you see?
Password, yeah.
So we have to give a password, Cisco, so that we can move. This is the first, this password is called the enable password. Okay, so let's move back to global configuration. And then,
Jakub,
yes?
when you give a password to the router, does it apply to both interfaces or just one interface?
Does it apply to?
To both interfaces of the router.
Yeah, this password is for the router access, not the interfaces. It's for the router access.
Oh,
so
okay,
the password
okay.
we have given is that, I mean, if somebody log into the router, and you know there are stages to move on from user mode,
Yeah.
you have another level to privilege mode, to another level for global configuration. These are all layers of security. Suppose maybe you have in your office, you have engineers, you have technicians, right? So, but the technicians, you want them to stop at the user mode because you don't want them to go to high level configuration because they are just technicians. They can just, you know, bring your whole network down. They don't understand much of the things.
Yes, yes, I understand.
So So the engineers, you can give them this password so that the engineers will be able to move on. The technicians, you can just give them limited access. It's mainly for security, access rights. You call them access rights. You understand? So, okay.
Yes, I understand.
So now we are in the global configuration mode. We want to configure console password, line console. Console is the console cable. Somebody comes into the data center with its console cable, connect to its laptop and connect to the console port of the router. You want to make sure if anybody connects to the console port, let the person put in a password. To give that password, you have to go to the global configuration mode and type line console 0. And you give a password, let's say Cisco. And then the final command is login. To type login. Okay, so now let's see the security layers we have now. Let's go to the last layer and start moving. Now you see, even to access the router now, we have to give a password now. You understand? Now we want to access the router, we have to give a password. Now you have given the first access. Now we are connected to the router. We have given the password. Now we are in the user mode. We want to go to the global privilege mode. We have to give another password now. You understand? Is that clear?
All right, yes.
Okay. So that all is done. Right. So what next again? Okay. Another thing is called BANA. BANA, MOTD. MOTD stands for message of the day. So how do you configure that? The command is BANA MOTD. Guys, what is important here is if you are typing this BANA MOTD, there's a delimiting character. Now we want to write, we will choose one character. Let's say, for instance, I start with a plus sign. But this plus, I'm going to end my command with a plus sign. If I start with this curly bracket, I'm going to end my command with this curly bracket. So BANA MOTD, now I want to write my message. My message is, please no unauthorized and login. No unauthorized login. So I'm just doing this hash for decoration purpose. Huh? Okay. So to finish the command, I should bring back this curly bracket. Okay. Now it's finished. So now anybody who want to log into this router will see this message. Now let's go back again.
Hello?
Yeah?
Hello?
Yes.
Are you not supposed to close the curly bracket after opening it?
No, if you use the opening one, you are going to close it with the opening one. If you use the closing one, close it with the closing one.
Closing one, yeah.
If you use the plus
okay,
sign, close it with the plus sign, yes.
Okay.
So you can see now, I come to log into the router, I have seen the message of the day. You see, please no unauthorized login. Are you guys there?
Yes.
So I have to give
Yes,
my
sir.
console password and then my enable password. So anytime you want to access this machine, you have to see this message will pop up. Please no unauthorized login. It's meant for legal purpose. So that if you break into somebody's router and they take you to court, you cannot say, okay, there is no warning that I'm an authorized personal. You understand what I mean? In the case of cigarettes, you can see people are saying that somebody sued the cigarette company to court for damaging health. So now cigarette companies are writing on the cigarette that seriously damage health. You understand? Okay? So that's it. So we move on. Am I putting the right Cisco? So one more important thing here is all these passwords we have given, they are all stored in plain text. All the passwords we have given, they are all stored in plain text. If somebody should get access and goes into your running configuration, the person is going to see. You can see my password is here. You can see my password, right? Enable password. If you go to my console access also, you will see it. You see, line console 0. You can see my password. Password is Cisco. So to avoid this, you can type this command from global configuration, service password encryption. When you do this, let's go back again and look at the configuration. You will see all the passwords are encrypted. You see, my enable password is now encrypted. Even if somebody get my configuration, it will be very difficult to de-encrypt this. I'm not saying it's not possible, but it's going to take him some time. Okay, you can see my console password also here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? Sorry, what was the command?
The command is service password encryption.
Okay, is it different from enable secret?
No, yeah, enable secret will also encrypt it. Thank you. Instead of enable password, you can also use enable secret. That is also going to encrypt it.
Oh, okay.
Yes. When you use enable secret, you will not see the password in plain text. It's going to be in an encrypted form.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for that. Huh? So, right, up to this level, our configuration, like I told you, there are two configuration files. You call one running configuration, and the other one is called startup configuration. Running configuration is the active configuration in the RAM, and the startup configuration is the configuration in the ROM. That's the permanent one. Let's look at our startup configuration. Show startup. There is no configuration files because right now all the configuration are in the RAM. We did not save it yet. So to save your configuration, copy running configuration, startup configuration. Now our configuration is saved. Even if we power off this machine, we will still maintain this configuration. And when we check now, we have a startup configuration now. Are you all clear up to this level? Hello, guys.
Yes, yes,
Yes,
you are there.
Okay. Now I want to go to interface configuration. You see this router, it has two interfaces here, gigabit 0/0/1 and gigabit 0/0/0. So the IP address that we are going to configure to each of these interfaces will serve as the respective default gateways for the various networks. Now let's say, for instance, this side of the network, we are going to put 192.168.20.1. You know, this side is a 20 network, right? So we will give 20.1 as the default gateway here. This other side, we are going to give 192.168.10.1 as a default gateway. So these computers here will use 10.1 as your default gate, just like your house, your room. The door is your default gateway. If you want to hit the wall and go out, you cannot go out. You must use the door to go out, right? So this door, this exit is your default gateway. So the IP address here is your default gateway. We have only 10 minutes now. Let's try and configure these interfaces. So to configure the interfaces, it's also simple. Like I told you, every interface of a router has a label. So for you to be able to configure that interface, please, you have to know the label. So if you look at this diagram here, this interface label is gigabit 0/0/0. Okay, you have to go to global configuration, and the command is interface gigabit 0/0/0. And then you add the IP address with this command. IP address 192.168.20.1. You give the subnet mask and then type no shutdown. You see, this interface is turned to green now, you see? So we configure this other interface still on the same router. But guys, they are on different interfaces, huh? So now we are done with gigabit 0/0/0. So we have to go out of this place, guys. This is very important. You can see the prompt is config interface. At this moment, any command we type here is going to be applied to gigabit 0/0/0, and we are done with that. So we have to type exit to leave that place and then go into gigabit 0/0/1. That's a different interface. The same thing, you give that one also an IP address 10.1. That is in the 10 network. Okay, type no shutdown. Guys, any difficulty up to this point, please, I want everybody to be clear. These are very basic. You need this a lot. If you are not clear on this, you cannot move.
Clear.
Yeah, because if you cannot simply configure the interface, you cannot go anywhere. Okay, so you can see, I think that's all. That is all what we need. Except, I mean, you can also give them a description. Okay, description. Okay, let's say link to LAN 1. Maybe if it is, if we have labeled them as LAN 1 and LAN 2. Okay, we go into another the other interface, the previous one, interface gigabit 0/0/0. We give it a description, link, sorry, LAN 2. So let's use the show commands, guys. END, show IP interface brief. Guys, it's a very important command, this command, show IP interface brief. I just write the short format, but the full form is show IP interface brief. This is a very useful command. You get to your router. I mean, maybe some guys are complaining that they don't have a network or there's an issue. You type this command, it will show you all the interfaces on the router and their status. You can see here interface. We have an interface called gigabit 0/0, and this is the IP that is configured there, and the status is up, and the protocol is also up. So that means this link is up and it's carrying traffic. We have another interface here called 0/0/1, and this is the IP there, and it's also up. Okay, but maybe if at all in your data center, maybe this side, this link is somebody have done. Let's go and shut down the other interface. What time is left, Coffee? Interface. Oh, let's say, let me just pull out. Let me see if I can pull the cable. Whether I can remove this cable. Oh, okay. Everything is done, gone. But let's see now what. Oh my God, you're not supposed to go. Okay, let's go to the router. Since one side cable is removed, let's see what is going to happen here. Okay, Cisco, EN, Cisco, show IP interface brief. Check now. You can see the other cable is removed. It's telling you this is the IP. The status is up, but the protocol is down. So obviously, you know that there is a problem at this level. Something is wrong.
Definitely.
Okay? Hmm?
Yeah.
But this other side, everything is up and running. Okay. So is there any question? Because I know time is almost up.
Yeah, time's up. So interesting.
Yeah, you guys need to practice this one very, very well. But by the time we move into routing, serious routing, we cannot waste time on people saying, I cannot configure my interface. You should be able to configure your interfaces. You should be able to configure router names, descriptions, you know, and these basic things, you should be able to do that. Any question?
So okay, this if you check your router, so this might mean that logically your configuration is okay, but probably there is some physical disconnection somewhere.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. That is it.
just another way of troubleshooting network errors.
Yes, because the port is up. The port is not shut down. If the port is shut down, when we,
Yeah.
what is the time? God, which was it? It was 000. Okay, gigabit 0/0/0.
Yes. So,
To bring the port
0,
down,
that's
you type
the
shut
first
down.
one.
Yes. To bring the
Yes.
port, okay. Now you see, I took the port down. You see, the port is administratively down. Now everything is down. But
Down,
the
yeah.
previous one, the port was
Yeah,
up,
then-
but the cable physically was not there.
And if you found this, then you can say no sort to put it up. Still, if there is a problem, meaning there is some physical interference.
Yes, yes. Normally what you need to do, sir, is try to send a ping, from that interface to the next interface and see. Sometimes if to check whether there is a connectivity or whether the cable is faulty, because that problem could come as a cable fault. The link could go down because there is a cable.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah. So if you
now do the static before the time will go off.
now, unless you want me to activate, but I know there is no time because the time. I mean, we started by 3:30, 2:30, and it's already. I know we have less than 2 minutes. So if you want us to do static, we have to activate another time.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Yes, I know we don't have time. It will go down any time, any soon. I don't know if the guys are having energy for that on the static routing.
Or maybe you can give an assignment to build such a network and then do the basic configuration.
Yeah, what I will do is basically I can do a static for only 3 network, and I will give an assignment on 5 network. But I know nobody will be able to do that. That one I have to give a price for that.
No, if the price is lucrative, you will be surprised.
maybe an iPhone 11.
Wow.
Okay. If that is the case, just add the network, make it more than 5, and we will surprise you.
Seriously? Okay, I think it depends on you. Me, I have time till 4. If you want, I can activate another time. But if you guys don't have time, we can leave it tomorrow.
Yeah, my end too, I am okay.
Huh? Hello, guys.
Hello.
Yes, are you okay for today? I think this is too much. I comfort. Let me allow you guys to go over this.
Yeah, you can let us go over this one, and then the next class we start on static routing.
All right, no issues, guys. Thank you so much. Huh?
All right.